The Jayhawks have struggled on the road against TCU in the past, but they brought their A game on Saturday down in Fort Worth. The 7th-ranked Jayhawks taking on TCU. Andy Dalton, TCU alum, here to watch his Horned Frogs play, but he couldn't have been too excited with how this one turned out. First half, all Kansas early. Someone loses their man, Perry Ellis. One of the easiest alley-oops you'll ever see. Kansas up 19-10. Second half, KU up 19. Devonte Graham, a little stutter step, lays it in. Now we tried to find a TCU highlight for you. So here is Chauncey Collins with the nice pass over. Svi loses man, J.D. Miller for the slam. But this one really wasn't close. Devonte Graham now taking the ball up. He dishes it off to Perry Ellis for the easy dunk. And KU would go on to win this one by a final score of 75-56. The win improves Kansas's record to 19-4 overall. It's 7-3 in conference play. Perry Ellis grabbed himself a double-double with 23 points and 10 boards. He was also very efficient shooting the ball, 11-14 from the field. Devonte Graham continues his hot play, putting up 15 points with 4 rebounds and 3 assists.
And for Kansas basketball, it's almost a religion. No matter where they go, it's hard to miss the crimson and blue. Our own Kirsten Peterson was down in Fort Worth and shows us some fans who made the journey to cheer on the Jayhawks.
The Kansas Jayhawks are taking on the TCU Horned Frogs today in Fort Worth. With the great number of Kansas fans that showed up, it almost feels like home.
It's really a family nationwide. I mean, you can see there's probably going to be 40–50% Jayhawk fans here today. Everyone's going to be cheering. You're going to feel like people you've never met before all feel as part of one family.
It's pretty cool. I mean, Kansas really travels well. I mean, there are so many people, and you're walking to and from the stadium and, you know, rock chalk, and it's nice.
There are many Kansas fans and alumni that came from different cities in Texas to see the game.
Relatively inexpensive, come over here from Dallas, and obviously there's a lot of people with the same idea and just kind of root on with some Hawks fans and hopefully root them on to a victory.
It was an unfortunate drive. It took me probably 2 hours longer than I wanted, but that's all right. Rock chalk. Got a lot of fans here.
Kansas guard Devonte Graham touched on how the great turnout of Kansas fans positively impacted the team's performance.
I was surprised to see or hear as many fans as we had here, but it was nice, and it kind of got us going a little bit.
It's safe to say that Kansas fans are not very hesitant when it comes to supporting their team, even if it means traveling long distances.
We just love watching KU basketball. I mean, we go to games in Lawrence, and then we come to games down here. Fort Worth is an awesome environment to watch a game.
Even over 500 miles away from Allen Fieldhouse, tradition still rings true to KU. Reporting for KUJH, I'm Kirsten Peterson.
Good for this team to snap that road losing streak in front of that many KU fans. Now let's take a look at the latest AP poll. Lots of movement at the top. Oklahoma dropping down to number 3 after that loss to K-State and opening the door for Villanova. They jump up to the top spot, and then Maryland and Iowa comes in 4th, and Xavier rounds out that top 5. As far as the Big 12 go, Kansas jumped up 1 spot in this week's AP poll to number 6 in the nation. And the Jayhawks, they went 2-0 last week, so it makes sense. They took down K-State now in Fieldhouse, and of course TCU, blowout fashion, Fort Worth. You know the story. Big 12 has 4 other teams ranked in the top 25 besides Kansas and Oklahoma. West Virginia is at 10, Iowa State coming in at 14, Baylor 21, and Texas jumping into this week's poll from previously unranked at 24.
And next up for the Jayhawks is a matchup in Allen Fieldhouse on Tuesday night against the 10th-ranked and Big 12 leaders, West Virginia. Kansas fell to West Virginia earlier this year in Morgantown, 74-63. The Mountaineers are coming off an impressive 2-0 week, winning at Iowa State and taking care of Baylor at home. Coach Self and players are starting to realize the importance of this week with West Virginia and Oklahoma on the calendar.
And so they, got a chance to play, 2 top 10 teams, and certainly for all 3 of the triangle of the 3 teams that are involved, this is a big week for everybody as far as the league race goes.
Every year I feel like there's been a time where it's kind of like a gut check time, and this is what separates those teams that do win the championship and the teams that don't. So.
The Big 12 lead will be on the line Tuesday night as Kansas comes into the matchup 1 game behind West Virginia for the Big 12 bragging rights. Both with similar offenses, scoring in the low 80s in points per game. One factor that decided the first meeting was turnovers, as West Virginia was able to force 22 turnovers by the Jayhawks. Perry Ellis leads KU in scoring with just under 17 points a game, while Jayshawn Page leads the Mountaineers with over 14 points per contest. Kansas is currently tied for second in the league with Oklahoma and Texas at 7-3, while the Mountaineers lead the Big 12 with an 8-2 conference record. The game tomorrow night tips off at 6 o'clock.
The Kansas women's basketball team is still looking for its first Big 12 win of the season, after failing to upset 4th-ranked Baylor in Waco over the weekend. You know, the score was not even close. It was 81-49, and despite having 3 players in double digits for the Hawks, that was Lauren Aldrich, Kylie Kopatich, and Aisha Robinson, the game was a sloppily played affair as both teams. This is a huge number, combined for 45 turnovers. Baylor capitalized on that, obviously, scoring 24 points off the turnovers. KU only got 10. The Bears dominated inside, scoring 50 points in the paint and out-rebounding the Jayhawks 48-24. And for those who aren't good at math, that's double. Baylor also got to the free throw line far more often, converting 15 of 23 attempts compared to just 1 of 2 in line for KU. KU's next chance claiming their first Big 12 win of the season is this Saturday as the Jayhawks head to Manhattan to take on K-State. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. You know, it's been a really rough season for the Hawks this year. They just can't string any points together under Schneider.
No, and it's tough. I mean, he's coming in. He lost a lot of good seniors, upperclassmen last year, so it's going to be tough to see how they really bounce back from a really disappointing season so far.
Yeah, I hope just KU fans can stay patient with him. It takes a few years.